Hello, this is Kate from dailytarotgirl.com, and this is your weekly tarot card reading. And for this week's reading, I am using the Druidcraft Tarot. And I'm going to start by drawing 3 cards. Each card is going to represent an aspect of the upcoming week. And some of you have been asking for updates on my foster kitties. And all the kittens that I had got adopted. So I have 2 new feral kittens, and I'll give you a little update and I'll show you them at the end of the reading. So for those who are interested, you can stick around to the end. Okay, so we'll start with the first card. So this card represents Monday and Tuesday of the upcoming week. And here we have the 6 of Swords. Now the 6 of Swords is all about transitions and making change and movement. So there's a lot of change, a lot of movement with this card. And it's usually always implied with the 6 of Swords that this is change for the better. So you're moving from one place to another. Now this could be a physical move. You could be moving residences, so actually moving, literally moving. It could be like a promotion in your job, or you're moving to a different job, something like that. It could represent travel, and it could not necessarily be a physical move. It could be some other kind of transition of sorts. It could be a change in a relationship status. It could be shifting from one way of being in the world to another way. It could be transitioning to like one way of eating to a different way of eating, like something like that. So there's many different ways that you can look at this card, but it definitely symbolizes change and finally taking the plunge, finally taking the leap, and actually bridging that gap from where you are now to where you want to be. And the warning with this card is that sometimes we get that sort of grass is greener on the other side kind of complex, where we think that our lives are going to be so much better if only we had a different job, or if we had a relationship, or we lived somewhere else. And so I think that that's sometimes kind of dangerous, because we delude ourselves and then we attain that thing and it's not, it doesn't bring us the fulfillment that we were hoping. So the 6 of Swords is such a positive, lovely card. It's about that making changes, about transitioning, about improving your life and making improvements. But it's also a reminder that wherever you go, you take yourself with you. And really, if you don't do any inner work and don't make any inner changes and improvements, then the outer physical improvements you make to your life aren't really going to mean much. So it's about doing both in your life, making changes on the outside, but also making changes on the inside, inner change. So moving on to Wednesday and Thursday, we have the 3 of Pentacles. And the 3 of Pentacles, it shows someone working, and looks like he's working hard, he's focused, he's dedicated to this particular project, and there's onlookers who are watching him. And he has a lovely little cat who's rubbing up against his foot. And this is about it's hard for me to put this card into words. This is about working on something. Well, okay, let me put it this way. You know that feeling you get when you're working on something and you're just kind of doing the right thing at the right time, and it just feels so right. And you might be working really hard, but it doesn't feel like hard work because you're where you want to be, doing what you want to do. I get this feeling sometimes when I'm working on a painting or a drawing or something like that, doing some kind of craft, and there's this time, like usually I'm like partway through the project, so I've kind of gotten over the difficult, awkward starting phase, and I'm like into it, and I just get so into it that time kind of ceases to exist, and I'm just kind of one with the painting or the picture that I'm doing, and I'm just so engrossed in it. And that's usually when I do my best work. And that's what this card is about. It's about surrendering to the process and just throwing yourself into something. And it's also about finding that sweet spot between what you're naturally good at, what you love to do, and what is needed in the world or what is needed in your community. So there's always that sweet spot, because of course there's lots of things we're good at that we love to do that doesn't necessarily benefit anyone else. So I feel like this week, that's almost the theme, is kind of finding that sweet spot between how can I be of service, how can I help, what can I offer that people need and want, and at the same time, you know, what am I good at, what do I love doing, and finding kind of bridging that gap. Okay, so moving on to the last card. This is the card for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Ooh, it's funny, I did 2 readings for myself before I did this reading, and this card came up in both of those readings, and now it's coming up a 3rd time. That's interesting. So we've got the 4 of Wands, and I always say that this card is a hearth and home card. This is, to me, about the comforts of home. This isn't a real sexy, action-packed, exciting card. This card makes me think of staying home on the weekends and lighting a fire and watching some Netflix, or, you know, baking muffins and spending the day reading on the couch or doing, I don't know, arts and crafts or something like that. Like, it's one of those kinds of cards. And I feel like this weekend isn't really necessarily a time for a lot of action or a lot of change. This is a time for kind of hunkering down. And whenever we hunker down, we're able to go within. We're able to connect with ourselves. And the Suit of Wands is about passion. It's about creativity and fire, but this is the most subdued, I think, out of all the Wands cards. This is what happens when energy is contained. And yeah, this is what happens when your energy is contained. So I lost my train of thought. What was I going to say? Yeah, this weekend is a good time to kind of hunker down if you're in the mood for that. If not, then, you know, maybe not. But kind of hunkering down, going within, and really kind of, this isn't about rest. It's not about renewal. It's not about taking a breather. It's about just appreciating your home and appreciating your family, your surroundings, your pets, whatever's going on in your life, and just kind of, yeah, taking a breath and enjoying those things. Okay, so I'm going to take a quick step back. I'm going to look at all these cards together. I'm going to see if anything is jumping out at me. It actually feels like kind of a mundane week, but not in a bad way. It feels like it's like an enjoyable week, a comfortable week. There's going to be some changes happening, but those changes aren't necessarily going to be tumultuous or stressful. And really, I feel like this is about coming home to yourself and finding who you are, finding, you know, what kinds of changes you need to make on the outside and the inside. What inner changes do you need to make this week? And what are you really gifted at? What are you good at? What are you passionate about? How do you want to share yourself with the world or with your community? And it's about making sure to kind of stop and smell the roses and enjoy your home and enjoy your space. Okay, so that has been your tarot card reading, and now I'm going to give you an update on my fosters. So I'm going to show you the 2 fosters I have. These are older kittens. I think they're about 4.5 months old. And this is, believe it or not, the most relaxed I've seen these cats. They really haven't come out of their carrier. They're both girl cats, and they've been fixed, and they're very feral. So the older a cat is, or older a kitten is, the harder they are to tame down. And so yeah, so I kind of have my hands full with these 2 because they don't even want to eat in front of me. So, and I'm really scared that they're gonna attack me. I'm not usually scared of like the smaller kittens, but with these guys I'm a little nervous. So wish me luck.